So last night I went and saw Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and I'm gonna be honest here, I cannot lie, I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. It honestly was really enjoyable, and it was kind of one of those forgettable Marvel movies, but hey, at least it's better than Ant-Man and the Wasp. So, before we hop into Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Ring, I just want to give you guys a quick spoiler warning. I will be hopping into spoilers and talking about the ending of this movie, as well as the post-credit scene. So, you have been warned. Please go watch Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and come back to this video. Thank you. So, Shang-Chi. Let's talk about this movie. So, honestly, like I said before, I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. It honestly kind of blew my expectations away, because I had no expectations to start with, because I honestly just was seeing this movie just to go see the movie and say that I've seen all the Marvel movies, because I got a strict uphold, you know what I mean? But this is the thing, this movie, honestly, for it just being kind of like a lackluster solo MCU project, it honestly really just kind of surprised me, and I think that it's definitely worth the watch if you're interested in like the Marvel stuff and like the whole MCU and stuff like that. And I feel like the Shang-Chi kind of fits well into where they're going. Now, with all this being said, this movie does suffer from some fundamental flaws that I feel like are just kind of stupid and just could have been completely avoided. So, for one, let's just talk about the script. The script is fine at best. The dialogue in some scenes is really choppy, and I don't think that the acting is very good. Not to say that the actors are bad in this movie, I just feel like what they have to work with isn't really good. Now, I do think that the stronger scenes are whenever Shang-Chi and Katie are in the same scene together, which is pretty much every scene, and I do like those scenes. The chemistry that these two actors have together is perfect, and I feel like that they play a really well best friend dynamic, which is one thing that I love about this movie, is that they didn't force a romance between our two characters, because they don't need a romance. They're best friends. They don't need to have a romance, which is perfect. Like, the final shot of the movie is all of them, like, in their mom's village, looking out onto the lake, and instead of kissing, like in every other freaking superhero movie, where we have a female and a male cast as our leads, they just, like, hug each other, basically. And it's a beautiful scene, and it's moving. It shows that these two characters really do care about each other, and that they're not just, like, lovers. And I love the fact that they didn't hook up at the end of the movie, because that probably would have made this a 0 out of 10 for me. But with all that being said, the script in this movie is pretty choppy, and the story is also really confusing. So basically, the story of this entire movie is that Shang-Chi ran away from home whenever he was 14 because his dad wanted him to go kill the person who killed his mother, but he lies at first and says that he doesn't kill him to Katie, but he actually did kill him. And I mean, heck, I don't blame him, dude. I mean, his mom was killed by like 6 goons in freaking khaki slacks. It's such a dumb scene, but it's kind of funny, honestly. Like, I was in the theater laughing my butt off, like, silently, because it was supposed to be a serious scene, and the mom is just getting jumped by like 6 goons in khaki slacks. Okay, anyways, I'm getting off track here. So anyway, Shang-Chi runs away from home after doing this because he didn't want to come back, because he felt like his mom would have hated the person that he became, which makes sense, that completely makes sense. His mom was like a saint, basically, and so he didn't want, he felt like his mom hated who he became, so he ran away. But the problem that I have with him running away is the fact that they don't explain how he did it. So, okay, this is a bit of a nitpick, but I'm just gonna go into it for a minute anyways. Alright, so Shang-Chi goes to go kill the guy who killed his mom, right? Right, okay, so let's say he left on this helicopter and there's like one guy piloting it, alright? There's just one goon piloting it, okay? Shang-Chi kills the guy and he gets back to the helicopter and the goon's like, alright, son, you ready to leave? And Shang-Chi's like, no, and he like kills the guy. So does 14-year-old Shang-Chi pilot the helicopter and go to San Francisco? If so, how does he know how to pilot the helicopter? And 2, wouldn't his dad just like send more goons after him to get Shang-Chi off of the helicopter? I digress. That was a bit of a nitpick, and I'm sorry. But still, you see where I'm coming from here. This stuff doesn't make any sense to me. Alright. Let's move on to something that I do enjoy about this movie. So, for one, they brought back, by far, my favorite character in the entire MCU. Fucking Trevor the Mandarin from Iron Man 3. He's back, baby! The King has returned! And his story in this movie might be the only one that makes any logical sense. So basically, Shang-Chi and his sister and Katie all get like basically captured by their dad, but not really captured, and they all go back to the Ten Rings lair. Shang-Chi's dad is like, shows them basically like the whole plot of this movie is that Shang-Chi's dad is trying to get his mom back, but the mom's dead. Basically, the dad has gone insane with the Ten Rings, and it's kind of funny because he's just like crazy. But so basically, Shang-Chi's dad shows Shang-Chi, his sister, and Katie this like water thing, and they're like, oh, this is kind of cool or whatever. And then Shang-Chi's like, Dad, Mom is dead, and then he gets angry, and then he throws them all in Shang-Chi jail, and it's kind of funny. So they're in this jail and they're like talking about how they're gonna get out of here, and they need to stop their dad or whatever. And they hear somebody like talking to himself in like the back of the cell, and so they like walk back there. And I was like, who could this possibly be? And I went, oh my god! And it clicked. It was freaking Trevor the Mandarin from Iron Man 3. And so basically he just explains his entire character in like 10 seconds. He just goes, oh, okay, so basically I was after Iron Man 3 and I was hired to be a actor terrorist. I was thrown into federal prison. I hung out there, and then I was broken out by these lovely gentlemen, the Ten Rings. And then Shang-Chi was like, and then they tried to kill you. He goes, yes, but then I started performing my Macbeth, and they thought it was funny, and so they kept me around. And I like could not contain my laughter. I thought it was the funniest thing that I had ever witnessed in my entire life. The fact that they brought this guy back just to be comedic relief, and that's entirely his point is in this movie, is just to be comedic relief, and it could not fit better. Another thing about this movie that's just kind of a no-brainer that I liked was the choreography. The fight scenes in this movie were beautiful, everything was beautiful, and it was really reminiscent of the old Bruce Lee shonen movies, and I think that it really just kind of gains points for that. It's beautiful choreography, the effects were amazing, especially in the final fight scene. Now, the final fight scene, we do get another one of those classic Marvel big CGI fights, but I feel like in this movie, it just kind of works out because it's fine. We don't really need to have our two main characters talk. We do have a nice, quiet moment with Shang-Chi's dad and Shang-Chi right before he dies, where they just kind of like look at each other, and Shang-Chi is kind of like, he's like wants to kill his dad, but then whenever he actually sees his dad die, he can't like bear to watch it. And I think that really just shows that Shang-Chi isn't a murderer, and it shows that his character has developed. Also, another scene that I really liked was whenever Shang-Chi and his dad are fighting, and Shang-Chi takes the 10 rings from him, and they go from like the blue, like the dark blue that his dad had it as for thousands of years, and it turns to a more heroic yellow. I think that that's symbolic, and it shows that Shang-Chi is a hero at heart. And that's one thing that this movie really, just gains points for me for, is the fact that this is a genuine superhero film, and I think that it's fun. Sure, it's got its fundamental flaws. The acting's fine, the script is fine, and the dialogue is kind of dumb. There's one scene in particular where Katie and Shang-Chi's sister are sitting in Shang-Chi's sister's room. That's a tongue twister, say that 5 times fast. But anyways, they're sitting in a room, and she's like, so why did you hate it here so much? And Shang-Chi's sister is like, because they never let me train with the boys, but I always watched them. So I watched them train, and I taught myself to do it, but better. And I was like laughing because it's so dumb, but it's kind of funny. So there's that, I guess. And then also one thing that I really liked is they brought back Abomination. I was making this joke like leading up to the movie that it was Shang-Chi in the Return of the Abomination, because I thought that he was going to be the villain because they showed him like one scene. No. So basically my theory about the Abomination is that after his fight with Hulk, he like went to S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever, and then Doctor Strange like bailed him out or something, and then Wong like kind of took him under his wing, because that's like kind of what they set up, is that Wong and Abomination have been training, and they're kind of friends now. And so Abomination's just been hanging out in the Sanctum Sanctorum, and he's just been kind of doing his own thing, trying to be a good guy. He's like in therapy or something. I think that would be funny. That'd be an interesting plot line to develop later on down the road. I think he'll probably end up joining like the Thunderbolts or be in the Hulk or She-Hulk TV series as maybe a villain or maybe a good guy, who knows? Maybe it's redemption hour for Abomination. But basically they're fighting, they make money, and they fight in this underground ring that Shang-Chi's sister runs, and I think that it's kind of cool, and it reminded me of Cyberpunk as they're walking around. Everyone's got like dumb hairdos and they're all like fighting or whatever, and the guy's like, oh no dude, you already signed the contract, now you gotta fight. And then he fights his sister in what's like the most predictable scene ever, and it's kind of stupid, but it's kind of fun at the same time. Well, that's pretty much everything I've got to say about this movie. It's a little bit silly, but it's an enjoyable watch. It's definitely better than Ant-Man and the Wasp, and it's definitely better than Aquaman. So, it's got that going for it. It's, once again, it's just another, like, MCU movie that they pump out. I don't think it's anything special. It's not going to change your life, but it's a fun movie to go watch, and it's definitely worth the $10 for a ticket plus popcorn, I guess. Or you could just wait and pirate it somewhere else, or you could just wait for it to come out on Disney Plus eventually. Do whatever you want to do. But that is my review on Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Thank you all for watching, and please subscribe here if you're new, and follow my TikTok, Mr. Movie07. That's Mr. Movie07. That's where I post all my channel updates and whenever new videos come out. Alright, see you next time.